Hey, and welcome to another episode of Lifestyle Unlimited, where we believe that you can live your lifestyle in an unlimited fashion. Well, I'll tell you, Peter and I are investors in real estate.
Yep.
Generally, we like to stay in single-family homes, duplex, triplex, quads,
Yep.
maybe even like a row house, but really more in that single-family realm. And we want to talk about like why we choose to be in that realm. Not that other like commercial deals or land deals that we don't believe in them, but
Yep.
Pete, why did you decide from the beginning? You know what? I want to stay in the single family home market. I mean, why did you make that decision?
Well, with me, Julie, it was two things that made me decide. Number one, ease of use. I mean, let's face it, it's great looking at a 100-unit apartment building or a raw land that needs to be developed, but those are long-term plays, and they're a lot more difficult any way you slice it. So for me, it was single-family homes when I got started a couple decades ago just because of ease of use. It's a lot easier to do single-family homes. They're not as big. It's easier to get them financed. They're not as long to come in and out of. They're a lot more forgiving. There's a lot more buyers for them. So any way you look at it is just when you put all those together, it's in my opinion, and I think in the opinion of any real estate investor, it's a lot easier to do a single family home than a subdivision or something like that. But the second reason that a couple decades later, it's still single family is because, and you hear me talk about this all the time, this philosophy I have. And the philosophy is very simple. When you figure something out, the goal is to get better at it. I talk about, I like the horizontal growth is the person that has 30 different things going on. 30 techniques, 30 strategies. When you analyze their business, none of them are really working. Well, they're kind of sort of just like plates spinning. I like in the vertical. I like the vertical growth when you figure something out. And by the way, it took me a while to figure out the single family. I don't want to make it seem like, well, you could just get in and tomorrow start doing deals.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, the first 6 deals I did, I lost everything I had. But when I finally kind of cracked the nut on the single family strategies and the techniques and how to find them and what kind of sellers you're negotiating with, how long it usually to stay in there. When I raised the money that was specifically for single family, at that point, you're right. I could have just potentially said, okay, well, let's get into 20 or 30 other strategies or 4 or 5 other strategies. But because I'm more of a believer, let's just scale what you have. By the way, it's still easier than the big deals. It's still more forgiving. It's still quicker from A to Z. The money is still more readily available for those homes. The demand is still more this. So for me, single family homes was just the obvious way to get started. And a couple decades later, it's just the most obvious thing to continue with. What about you?
Well, I know this is a silly one, but I think it's more fun.
Oh, okay. What do you mean by that?
Well, I'll tell you, like you're doing a commercial deal, you're doing a big land deal, you're doing all these other type of deals. You're dealing with like brokers. You're
Okay.
dealing with banks. You're dealing with you're not dealing with the actual seller of the property. Usually somebody represents them in, like, let's say an apartment transaction. And really everything in those other transactions, it's black and white.
Right.
It's does the numbers work for this deal?
Right.
Right? The thing that I love about single family homes is it's different every time. Right? It's like, it's fun because it's like a new challenge.
Right.
And not all the time is it based off of just the numbers, where when you get into apartments or commercial deals, it's all about numbers.
Right.
When you're working direct to seller in like a single family home aspect, every seller has a different issue.
That's true.
I find it absolutely fun to be able to solve these problems with somebody.
Right.
You know what I mean? So for me, I've never been the type of person where I can do the same thing day in, day out, day in, day out. It's boring to me. So for me, the first reason is it's not boring, because it's not just all about numbers and this and that, which is important. It's fun for me because of the variety
Yeah.
of what you get day in and day out, because no deal is ever the same.
Yeah, no question. What do we always say? Every deal's got its story.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, here's another important like for me, another important reason. Like is this Dawsonville or Dahlonega?
Dawsonville.
Okay, so we're in Dawsonville. So I moved to Atlanta in the 90s. If I was, and I was never here in the 90s when I moved here, but if I would have come to Dawsonville in the 90s, what would I see?
Nothing.
Nothing. Now we're in our office, and right in front of us, or to this side, is a huge mall, right? Huge outlet malls, tons of restaurants within 5 minutes. You live not too far away from here. I mean, there's infrastructure here. There's like restaurants, bars, entertainment. There's like a whole city there, right? And that's really because of the single family. Bottom line is this: there's more and more demand for single families. Is there more demand for commercial? Probably. But it's very small in proportion to.
Well, there's only so many people that invest in commercial real estate.
Well, that's exactly
right. Or
right.
that open
or
businesses.
That need commercial real estate.
Yeah, like small businesses, right? Like, I like to say you can only have so many restaurants, but according to this town, apparently you can just keep opening them and people come.
Well, but that's because there's more and more people.
Yeah.
That's because there's more and more people.
And that's because, like, if you look at Atlanta, and guys, we're talking about like suburbs here. When you look around a major city, right, people. Like, there's a lot of people that love the inner city. You love the inner city. You love what it brings.
Yep.
A lot of people like suburbs.
That's right.
Right?
More and more people like suburbs, by the way.
Yeah. So generally, suburbs just keep getting bigger.
That's right.
Right? So why is it that there's more demand here? Number one, taxes are less. So when you move higher and higher or below a major city, things grow outwards.
There's no question.
Right? It's not like they're growing outwards and then come in to make a big city. So there's so much demand, especially when you got highways, or like now, people didn't move to Dawsonville as much because why would they? There was no malls, there were no restaurants,
Right.
there were no good grocery stores. But now it's like they have all of these things that they otherwise did not have.
There's no question. Well, and think about it. For everyone that moves here, what do they need? They need a place to live. Right? Not everyone that moves here needs an office building necessarily. Not everyone that moves here, is going to open up their own grocery store. But everyone that moves into Dawsonville, Dahlonega, all the surrounding areas, everyone needs a place to live. So, and the reality is, I was just looking at some statistics. This is crazy. But the growth the demand for single-family houses is still going up. I mean, what do you hear us talk about right now? Recession, things are crashing, motivated sellers, but the demand is still going up. Like right before we got started, you saw my phone ringing with Shannon, one of our partners in Pennsylvania, in Lancaster. And this is so crazy. We just flipped a house that we're closing on Friday, right? Let me just tell you how big the demand is. And the reason she called me is she had the buyers there, right? Now, we're closing tomorrow, right? When do you think these buyers saw the house?
Probably during the due diligence of the deal, meaning the inspection period.
We're closing tomorrow. The first time they saw us today.
Did they live there in Philadelphia?
No. Here's the crazy. This is what I'm talking about. The demand. They moved from Phoenix, right? The demand in Phoenix right now is still through the roof. There's just not a lot of affordable houses, and there is not. They're not keeping up with the supply up there. So these guys literally buying a house sight unseen. I mean, through pictures, but you're spending $400,000. I'm probably like, I would have flown here like last month.
Me too.
But like, they're as happy as could be. And they were just telling me here a second ago, it's just the demand that where they are, it just prices them out. It just literally prices them out.
Well, because in Philadelphia, like the house that you and Shannon are flipping, it's a nice home. I mean, like you get a lot for that money.
Exactly, and you won't get the same thing in a different market.
Oh, in Arizona?
No.
No, heck no. You're not getting even probably a quarter of what they're able to get in
That's
Philly.
Exactly right. So demand, even through this whole time, is that, the other thing that I mentioned, but this is worth repeating, especially if you're watching this, and you're at that crossroads where you are trying to figure out, what do I go down that single family route? Do I go down an apartment route? Do I go down the commercial route? But this is a very important point. Like I said, I mentioned already, the financing. It is not that easy to finance a commercial property. And it's not just not that easy. People always say, well, no, that's not true, Pete. Commercial deals, they just speak for themselves, Yeah, but guess what? You're going to get 50% of that thing, right? So you're going to get like a $50 million commercial deal. And it is maybe you may be able to secure the financing on it, but you have no idea. There's very, very little opportunity there, unless it's just an incredible deal to get the, the 90% loans, the 95% loans. And if you want to scale something, that is, you have to consider, where you're going to get your money from and what is the ease of use, in terms of getting money. Like, think about this. We're so embedded in the single family homes, right? And a place, that I get my money is from hedge funds. Now that I think about it, I probably shouldn't be recorded saying this. I don't know too many hedge funds that are, and maybe I just don't know the right one, but I don't know too many hedge funds right now that are in the commercial space. And I could tell you at the single family home level, like billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars is coming right from hedge funds. And I don't know if they're moving that same money over to the commercial side. You may have to be more on the commercial side, more focused on the the conventional financing,
It's, yeah,
the
the
banks
cash
and stuff.
flow,
Exactly. And, the sources could be banks and stuff like that.
Well, the other thing that I love about single family homes is options. Okay. So like we mostly go, I'm not buying houses from on the real estate market, even though I love working with real estate agents. I'm not buying them from other wholesalers. I'm generally going to find motivated sellers in my area and work with them. But the thing that I love about single family homes too is the fact that there's more options, right?
No
So
question.
because I've done a lot of different strategies, I'm able to go to an appointment and not offer just one thing. I'm able to go and offer them a cash deal,
Yep.
right? I'm able to offer owner finance subject to a wholesale, a fix and flip. And I like the challenge and the opportunity that it gives me because like I said, it's more fun earlier. It is more fun because of the challenge of solving house problems, really. So a truly good real estate investor in the single family home space understand how important it is to solve problems first. If you learn how to solve problems first, Peter, and you know this, you'll generally always be successful in this business. If you go into it like I just want to make another dollar, you're going to have a hard time convincing sellers to go with you when your first thing is what can I make off of them? But if you go into it with the mindset of let's solve this house problem, no matter the economy, you'll do well. Because in any economy, one strategy is better than the other one.
Well, here's the other thing. We're focused, and I know the couple of the things you said was so focused on the seller side. But think about this on the commercial side. Just for as long as you and I have been together, we've been through what, 5 offices now? 4 offices? 4 or 5 offices, right? Think about this. When we got our offices, did we go hug the landlord? And did we say, "Oh, unbelievable"? No, it's kind
Heck
of
no, I don't.
right. It's kind of impersonal. But, again, we're talking about the seller, but think on the buyer side. How many, literally this call that I was just talking with Shannon, these guys are so fired up. These are people, we're changing their lives. We are literally changing their lives because of what we were able to provide for them in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. They've uprooted their whole family from Arizona. And because of this property, talk about an impact on some. They are so excited. They're so fired up. I'm like, hey, just make a video for us.
Well, it just feels good.
Well, it does.
That's what I'm saying. It's a lot more fun.
Well, it is. You get more involved. We're talking about solving problems on the seller side. We solve problems on the buyer side.
Absolutely.
Especially with creative things we've done. And yeah, I think for me, the more I think about it, the more I talk about it. The funny thing is people say, well, Pete, you've done some commercial. I have done commercial, but it's been kind of by happen chance. I did a couple land deals by happen chance. But interestingly enough, I just realized right now, do you know I've only done a flip on one apartment building my whole life?
Really?
My whole life. And it's not like
I've never done any, so.
Well, but think about it. It's not like we don't come across, I guess we just.
When it's not in your wheelhouse, you make mistakes.
Yeah, and you don't even, sometimes you just kind of just subconsciously close yourself up to stuff that, you just want to stay in your lane. So I think for us, it's easy to say we're single family.
Absolutely. And for me, I think it all goes down to it's a lot funner for me. So that's why I love doing it.